Hey everyone, it's Rye Myers, your Broadway and Entertainment BFF, and you're watching my live digital talk show series, Live with Rye. Before we begin, I do have a huge favor to ask of you. Listen, if you get value out of this interview today, do me a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you never miss an episode of Live with Rye, and you can see all of my other content, and every time I go live, get a notification. So hit that subscribe button underneath, subscribe to my YouTube channel. You're also helping me out as well. And hey, listen, I love what I do, and I would love your support. So if you are so inclined, I'd love if you would head to rydthenewsguy.com/donate, which is also scrolling across the bottom of your screen as well, or scan the QR code here and it'll take you to the donation page. Make a donation of whatever you're able to. Your support means the world to me, and I want to continue bringing you fresh, exciting, and new content. So again, head to rydthenewsguy.com/donate. It's scrolling across the bottom of your screen throughout the show that you can see. And with that, let's get started and help me welcome my very special guest, Alex Moye. Hi, Alex.
Ryan, what's going on, man? How are you?
Good. Not too much. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview with me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Well, let's get started. What originally got you interested in music, and what made you want to pursue that career?
That's a good question. I mean, I've always been into music, I guess you could say. My family has been involved. My dad played in a bunch of bands back in the 70s. My older brother played in a ton of bands, did a bunch of touring. He actually still works in music production side of things over in Orlando. So I've just always been around it. I've always been influenced by it. So I would say late high school, early college were my bigger days of playing in bands myself and writing music. But for the past couple of years, I just decided that it's something that I've always had interest in. And I would say after college, it was something I put off a little bit. And I just decided, I just something peaked, honestly. Just one day I just woke up, I'm going to get back into this and dive head first into it. And for the past couple of years, just any minute I have away from, daily responsibilities, I've been writing music, just coming up with new ideas. So I love it, man. I've been really hooked since I really dove into this project.
That's amazing. That's wonderful to hear, and so great that you sort of had that in your family growing up, that it was sort of an influence. Music can really inspire people when you grow up. So it's nice that you had that in your life.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of influence from my dad. He's definitely encouraged me to not only get into it, but stick with it. So he's always super excited whenever I have any idea, regardless of whether it's good or bad or anything. He's just like, hey, yeah, I like what you're trying to do here, and he wants to sit down with me and play the with me or whatever. So it is mostly my project, but sometimes it's kind of like a family. It's almost like a reason for the family to come together and kind of tinker with some ideas. So it's been a lot of fun for all of us.
That's wonderful. What a special thing. How have you found creating music during the pandemic? And what has been a positive thing that has happened with your music and with creating music during this time that you may not have realized would have or could have happened?
Well, I mean, my focus was always just, outside of work. So, I have a day job. That's my main focus outside of music is just working at my day job. So outside of that, I just decided that I was like, all right, I'm going to pile up a bunch of songs. I'm going to drive this into the ground. And once I'm ready with this release, then I'll start thinking about playing shows and things. But it was right when I was ready to put out my first batch of songs that, lockdown started happening. So the only thing I really changed was, all right, well, I guess, playing shows is out of the question. So I'll just keep writing music. I know that was the main focus for most artists, anybody who writes music, that they just pretty much for the past year have been in writing mode. And I've been doing a lot of that. So, but I mean, things are starting to get better, and especially in Florida, things are relatively open up already. So I have these songs coming out over the next couple weeks. I have my next track coming out this Friday, another one coming out in May, and then my first album will be out in mid-June. So I'm super excited about that. And once I'm done with, getting the releases out and sharing and putting out the content I got to do, then I'll be putting a little more focus towards, playing out shows and figuring out where I'm going to play.
That's wonderful and really exciting. Can you tell me a little bit more about your album coming out? What kind of album is it? What can we expect, and sort of when it will come out?
So the date is set for June. I actually need to double check this. I believe it's June 14th. Let's see, June 16th. June 16th is the day it's going to come out.
Very
So it's mostly, my electronic dance vibe. So it's most like four on the floor, things that you hear out at a club, or even if it's not at a club, like late night, kind of on the radio and stuff, just drinking
right.
with friends, be like going out having a good time. But I do have a song or two that's a little more dialed back. That's more of like it has a little bit of a tropical house to it, but it's definitely like one of the songs I have on the album is probably one of the softest songs I've ever written. It's just very lovey-dovey. It's very more sentimental than it is like about the beat or anything.
Yeah.
And then I have one song that's it's actually through a contact that I made through a mutual friend. There's a singer that lives out in Brazil. She's a phenomenal singer. She had this song that she was working on. The acapella was great, but the arrangement and the remainder of the production was all right. But they asked if I could work on it, and I said, yeah, I'll take a crack at it. It was kind of like this reggaeton vibe, and I've never really, at that time I hadn't really worked on anything like that before. So I was really interested to see how it would turn out, and it ended up being one of my favorite songs. So it ended up making it for the final cut for the album. So that'll be on there as well. So it's got a little bit of everything, but overall, I would say it's kind of like it encourages a little bit of movement, a little bit of like a kind of vibe. I think it's gonna have 12 tracks. Yeah, it'll have 12 songs there. A good amount of tracks. So it'll be a lot of fun, and like I said, it's a little bit different here and there. So something for everybody. If you're into that genre of like dance, electronic kind of sounds, there's definitely gonna be something
Right.
for
Yeah, dance. Yep. Yeah, dance and EDM. That's great. And that sort of brings me to my next topic of how did you get into producing and creating EDM music specifically, and what made you specifically choose that genre? It's a very interesting genre in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess kind of from the electronic aspect of it, honestly, that's you can do so much with so little nowadays. With like if you have a computer and a little bit of knowledge on your your DAW is what's called your digital workstation, where you actually make music. You can have entire orchestras and symphonies and however many layers and pieces of different instruments really with your keyboard. It's unbelievable. So that was something that really drew me to it, honestly, because I can play guitar, I'm decent at guitar, drums and stuff, but by no means am I Van Halen on the guitar. By no means am I one of these elite instrumentalists on these instruments. But like if I get an idea, fine tune in my computer and get I hear this idea, kind of keep tinkering with it, like it just the way I want it, and it's just, it really opened doors for so many becoming artists who. Like before, you needed access to the studio, which a high quality studio costs $50,000 to build, or if you want to rent one, it's $100,000 a day. Like some of the better ones, and that's still at the low end too. So like to be able to have access to all this stuff, at fingertips, literally on your computer, has really changed the way for so many artists. And I would say that's why there's so much focus on this genre of music right now, just because it's you can do so much with it. You don't need a lot to be able to have access to all these things. So I a couple years ago, I always had a little bit of an interest in it, but I guess I've been busy with other things. And but like about 3 years ago, I was actually watching some documentary about music production. I said I'm going to start this right now. It was actually funny. It was a bucket list. Something I wanted to do is write and produce a song, but it's something I had been putting off for years. Like I'll get to it eventually. But finally, I have to do this right now. Like it looks so cool. I want to download DAW as much as I can, and I thought it was going to be the one song, and I'm just so hooked. I haven't stopped. I have I don't know. I have over 100 projects that I've worked on, and of those, like my 15 favorite ones, I've put out a couple of them already, and I'm going to put out this album. So been hooked. So that's why I love it so much. It's just the accessibility to all these things that you can play with.
That's awesome. That's really exciting. I didn't even know all of that. So where did you come up with your current single that's out called "I Want to Dance"? Where did the inspiration for that come from?
Let's see. I was actually just going through a bunch of different samples, and it's funny how it works, because sometimes you're forcing an idea for hours, and like you can feel something maybe getting together, but it's not really coming together that easily. and sometimes you can just never finish that track for whatever the reason. There's just the inspiration's not there. But I heard a sound. It was just guitar strumming is very simple, but I heard the melody immediately. I heard the lyrics immediately. I heard pretty much the entire structure of the song in my head instantaneously. So I just ran with it. And so I started with that sample. I put drums on it, added a little bass line, just kept layering and layering. And I had some dummy vocals. You know, I feel like I'm a decent singer. I'm not like the greatest singer, but I can sing all right. So, but I took my idea and then I worked with some people who are much better singers than me. We fine-tuned the lyrics, fine-tuned the melody. And then I had a buddy of mine record the vocals, so he's the one that's singing on the track. And it just came together pretty effortlessly. Actually, it was one of the easier songs we get together, which is so fun. We don't have to like when you just get in that flow state and it just kind of just comes out of you. That's more or less what happened on the track. So it was a lot of fun to work on that track. So that was I guess the last official track I've put out. So I've put out one song on my SoundCloud, but that's the last track. And I think it is October I released that one. So that will be the last official track that I've put out up until this Friday.
What was that last part? I'm sorry.
Blinded. It's called Blinded. So that track comes out on Friday. So again, similar vibe. So it's electronic-y, dancey. So it's a little bit more. I wouldn't say necessarily club. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't necessarily see it playing at a club, but it's still got like that late night vibe kind of. I imagine somebody like at a party or in your car late at night with your friend or whatever it may be. But it's got a good vibe to it, so I like it a lot. I'm looking forward to putting it out and seeing how people receive it.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Well, we'll have to keep an eye out for that, and I'm sure people will love it. So that's awesome. As we look forward to 2021, what do you hope to accomplish with your music? And are you hoping to do some shows? Do you have pre-shows, planned? I know some artists have started to book shows and hope that they happen. What do you hope to accomplish with your music in the rest of 2021 and with your shows, if any, or any upcoming projects?
Let's see. I'm going to put out, so I got my single coming out Friday, one more in May, and then the album in June. And then after that, I'm constantly working on new stuff. So I have a bunch of stuff that is in the process of being ready to the point where it's ready to be released. But I really do want to kind of step back from the production side of things and focus more on playing shows. I haven't performed in years, so I would love to get back out there and get in front of an audience, just put on a good show for everybody. So I would say that's probably going to be the bigger priority. But again, it's just because of COVID, it was just kind of on for myself, everybody. So that I would say that's going to be the main focus, is just figuring out exactly where I'm going to play out a show. So I think I'm here in Jacksonville, Florida, so there's a couple places here that I'll probably end up playing, which would be great. Just because I have something here, so get everybody to come out. So that's going to be the focus. But as far as the detailed specifics of it, nothing's set in stone yet. I haven't scheduled anything, but I'm so busy right now just getting ready for these releases that I've been playing with some ideas as like, I'll probably play this venue or that venue and kind of figuring out the logistics. But I'll get those things more fine-tuned once I'm done with these releases. So I think July, August, I'll have a better idea of exactly when and
That's great. Well, I'm super excited to hear that, and I can't wait to see that you have more shows coming up. That's exciting, and that you want to get back into it, and hopefully you can in 2021. I'm curious. You mentioned earlier that you have a full-time job. Is it a civil engineer or civic engineer?
Civil engineering.
Yeah. So how do you sort of have the time to sort of do both? Do you hope to eventually sort of go full-time into music? Or, is it something you will just enjoy as a hobby? I'm curious.
That is the dream for sure, is to do it full time. But a lot of factors go into play as to what kind of opportunities come my way. So I've had a couple of people approach me and wanted to kind of invest in my project, but just, I don't want to necessarily rush that decision either. It really just depends on, when the time is right, I guess. But for now, is how do I manage it? It's just, I've sacrificed a lot, really. I'll work all day and then I'll come home and I'll just work on music. So my social life I put on hold for a little bit. I pretty much, my focus has been work, music, and just staying healthy, just going to the gym, whatever it may be.
Right.
But I've given up a lot to be able to get to this point where I have all these releases coming out. So it's been, it hasn't been easy, but it's been totally worth it for me. It's something I really enjoy doing. And yeah, like I said, that is definitely the dream if I could do it full time one day. But for now, it's just, I'm managing as much as I can, juggling both at the same time.
Right. Well, that's wonderful. And it's important that you enjoy it. And, sometimes the things we enjoy the most, we have to sacrifice, some things
Yeah, if there's something else out there that you enjoy that maybe has a little more value to yourself internally, whatever it may be. For me, it's been music, and
exactly.
I've kind of passed up on a couple get-togethers with friends and maybe some dates and things like that. But it's just, for me, it's just like, I don't know, just being able to sit there and just come up with new sounds and new ideas. I don't know, it's just like, there's nothing else like it. So I've really, really enjoyed the process, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear. Well, what advice would you do you have for up and coming musicians and also music producers as well? What advice do you have for them?
I would say the easiest piece of advice I could give is just to commit and just to work really hard. It may almost sound cliche to some degree, but I've met so many people who talk about, even if it's not music, it's just like, I want to be whatever it may be. I want to be a painter. I want to write a book, but that's all they ever do is talk about it. And even if they do put in a little bit of effort, like once they realize how much work it's going to involve, they more often than not throw in the towel, which is really unfortunate, because I've met so many talented people who, if they just accepted the sacrifice that comes with it and just accepted the hard work that inevitably is going to come with it, who knows where they would be. But too many people, just as soon as they get some hard times coming their way, or they get rejections, or like some artists will put out their songs for some playlist placement, they get rejected, like, oh, my music must suck, like it's not meant for me. Oh man, music is subjective. Like, you could send it out to 100 people and 90 of them don't like it, but you get 2, 3, 5 of them that do like it, 10 that like it. That's even 10 out of 100. A pretty good rate, to be honest. So you just have to pull with the nose. You just have to accept that like, nothing in life worth having comes easy. And like, it's so true. But like I said, like I've met so many people who are so talented in whatever their field is, and it's just so much easier to talk about it than to actually do it. So to anybody who wants to be a musician, specifically, I would say, because one question I've gotten is like, well, where do I start? I don't even know where I would begin. The internet makes everything so much more possible nowadays. Like that's where I started. I just downloaded Ableton. You can download Ableton. You can download FL Studios, Cubase, or Logic, whichever one you want to use. They're all great. And just Google how to use this, how to do whatever. In YouTube, there's so many informative videos on there. The guys that are usually with various personalities that so much. And that's where I started. I just watched a bunch of YouTube videos. I got to a point where I was like, all right, I feel like we kind of tapped out these YouTube videos. So I signed up for a couple classes, but I would say the most I learned was just from playing and just making crappy songs. I made terrible songs at first. They were awful. But I kept getting better and better. And to the point where I'll still throw in a crappy one from time to time, but it's like, it's gotten less and less. And like, I just keep getting better and better at what I would consider my craft now. And I really enjoy it. So for anybody else who's interested in getting into it, I would just say to start and then just commit to it and just stick with it. And if you start today, you don't know where you'll be a year from now, 5 years from now. So that's my biggest piece of advice. Just start and don't overthink it. Just do it and stick to it. What happens.
Amazing. I think that is such good advice for people out there. Such good advice. Well, listen, for those watching, if you're getting value out of this interview, you like what you're watching, continue to keep up with me. I love hearing from you. Follow me on social media. I'm at Rye_Myers on Instagram and Twitter, and I'm on Facebook at official Rye Myers. And lastly, as a reminder, you'll see scrolling across the bottom of your screen my website, RyeTheNewsGuy.com. You can head there to rewatch all episodes of Live with Rye. If you missed this interview live, you can rewatch it on my website. And you'll also see the donation tab running across the bottom of the screen, RyeTheNewsGuy.com/donate. If you are so inclined, you want to help support the the talk show and my platform, head to ridethenewsguy.com/donate. It would mean so much to me. You can also scan the QR code if you're watching on a computer or a desktop. Well, listen, Alex, before we go, why don't you tell us where can we follow you and keep up with all the exciting things that you're doing?
My main platform right now is Instagram. So my name is Alex with two X's, ALEXXMOYE. Find me over there. You can find me on any of the other streaming services as well, Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud. But as far as where I'm actually putting out information is Instagram. So if anybody wants to kind of tag along and follow up with whatever I got coming up in the next couple of weeks and months, that would be the best place to find me.
Great. Yep. His Instagram's right there on screen. Great. So Instagram, and you have a website as well, or?
I do. It's alexmoye.com. So just spelled normally, ALEXMOYE. So it's there, and it has links to some press I've done and things, and I would say my catalog thus far of everything I've released on whatever platforms they may be on. So I have those two as well, but the main outlet, I guess I would say, for instant news would be my Instagram. So they're both there. So anybody who wants to tag along with either one of those, they're both available for people to go check out.
Amazing. Well, wonderful. Alex, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I really appreciate it. Make sure you all follow along with Alex on his website, on Instagram. And Alex, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with me. I can't wait to see what comes next and, what you release. Good luck with your new single that's coming out on Friday. And I know we'll be hearing much more from you in the future.
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I'll keep you up to date on everything so you can check it out for sure. I'm looking forward to it this Friday.
Wonderful. Well, please do. Thank you so much, Alex.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. Thank you so much, man.